Give yourself time to think. Try to speak English too fast won't make you sound like a native speaker. Instead, it can actually make it more difficult for the other person to understand you. Speaking English slowly has two advantages. One, it gives you more time to think of what to say. And number two is, it makes your speech clearer so the other person can understand you. Over time and with practice, your spoken English will get faster naturally. You may be worried that the people you are talking to are impatient and would like you to say what you want as quickly as possible. First of all, it may not be true. People often prefer a well thought out answer to a rushed one. So just relax. Another practical thing you can do is equipping yourself with fixed phrases you can use when remaining silent doesn't seem to be an option. Here's an example. Why is there so much violence on TV? That's a good question. Let me think for a moment. I haven't really thought about it before. Well, I suppose. Here the speaker gains considerable amount of time to reflect just by repeating the question and adding a few sentences. If you do the same, you will sound more fluent and won't feel the pressure of having to say something before you're ready. Fixed or set phrases are phrases whose words are usually fixed in a certain order. They can be verb patterns, idioms, collocations, basically anything we always say in one particular way. For example, during the day, in the meanwhile, it's been a long time since, sorry to bother you, sorry to trouble you, but would you mind if, oh, come on, I'm just kidding, for what it's worth, to be right about, to be wrong about, tit for tat, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Focus on fluency, not grammar. When you speak in English, how often do you stop? The more you stop, the less confident you sound and the less comfortable you become. Try the mirror exercise as we talked about in the previous lesson. But challenge yourself to speak without stopping or stammering the entire time. This might mean that your sentences won't be grammatically perfect, and that's okay. If you focus on speaking fluently instead of correctly, I think you will still be understood and you will sound better. You can fill in the correct grammar and word rules as you learn them better. Remember that communication is more important than grammar. Don't worry too much about grammar when speaking. Do you get nervous when speaking because you are afraid of making a mistake? Remember that. The first goal of speaking English is to communicate. Although grammar is important, it is less important than communication when speaking English. Here's a simple example. If you say, yesterday I go to a party on beach, the sentence isn't grammatically correct, but it does successfully communicate your message. And an English speaker will understand you. It's better to say something wrong and still communicate successfully than to say nothing. Also, the grammar of spoken English is more flexible than the grammar of written English. So don't worry too much about grammar when speaking. Grammar translation methods and memorization of rules have been standard practice for a very long time, but they are probably not the most effective ways to learn. Some students study English for many years and know all the rules of grammar and sentence structures, but still struggle to communicate properly and hold a conversation in English. So, it's important to have a significant amount of time focusing on conversational, functional language use and learn in context through interaction with other people. Relax and have a positive, confident attitude. If you make a mistake or forget a word when you are speaking English, it's okay. Don't be nervous or afraid. The person who you are talking to will understand and be patient with you. If you are insecure when speaking English, it will be even more difficult to speak. Relax and think positive. So don't say my English is terrible or sorry for my bad English. These are negative comments and they are not helpful. Instead, think I can speak English before every conversation in order to give yourself more confidence and help you speak better. You can be your best helper or your worst enemy when learning to speak fluently. We know it's hard, but you should try not to worry about how you sound when you speak. Just relax. If you get stuck or confused, just take a big breath and start over. Speak slower if you have to. Take time to pause and think about your next sentence. Do whatever it takes to become more comfortable with speaking English. Slow down. You know yourself how it goes. You're speaking with someone and you want the other person to feel how good your English is. It's as if you are completed to speak as fast as native English speakers, which is also a very stupid idea on two accounts. First, people will notice that you are a foreigner anyway. Second, you should never compare your English with that of others, because it will always make you feel inadequate. I wouldn't be wrong in saying that speaking too fast is one of the biggest mistakes all foreign English speakers are making all over the world. Actually, the first reason is why non-native speakers get stuck for words in English. It's a reason why we mispronounce words when speaking in English, and it's a reason why we think we stuck at speaking in English. So please slow down. And the solution to this issue is quite obvious. As a matter of fact, it's starting right in your face. Slow your speech down. Listen to more English. Listening to more English will improve your speaking. Most English learners read too much and listen too little, and that's not good. When babies and children learn English, they listen first and then speak, and later learn to read and write. Half of a conversation is hearing the other person, and if you don't understand what they are saying, how can you respond correctly? So, if you want to improve your English speaking, spend more time listening. Listening more will also help you naturally improve your pronunciation and reduce your accent. This is the great solution. Listen and repeat. Do you watch TV shows or YouTube videos in English? Use them to improve your fluency. Choose a short part of a show and repeat it line by line. Try to match the tone, speed, and even the accent if you can. It doesn't matter if you miss a few words. The important thing is to keep talking. Try to sound just like the native speakers on the show. The more you listen to the authentic English, the better you will understand how to speak English naturally. Pay attention to stressed sounds. English uses stresses in words and sentences. That means you will need to stress or emphasize certain words and syllables to give words and sentences different meanings. Listen to where native speakers place the emphasis. When they speak, try to repeat it the same way. Think of the word present, which have two different stresses. As a verb means to give a speech, but as a noun means a gift. Present, present. This won't only help you speak well, it might even reduce misunderstandings. Sometimes the placing the stress on the wrong syllable completely changes the word. The word address, for instance, isn't the same as the word address. Address refers to physical location where someone lives, and address means to formally speak to a group of people. Learn to hear the difference. Try some tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are a series of words that are difficult to say quickly. One example is, the 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. Try saying this a few times. It is not easy. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. Word games like this will help you find the right placement for your mouth and tongue, and can even help your pronunciation. You can find a list of great tongue twisters. Let's see more tongue twister. While we were walking, we were watching window washers wash Washington's window with warm washy water. While we were walking, we were watching window washers wash Washington's windows with warm washy water. Tongue twisters are funny, but they can also help you with your pronunciation and speaking. They are a type of diction or articulation exercise which helps you learn to speak clearly. It's been found that the brain coordinates its articulation of words according to which muscles it needs to move. So sounds that use the same or similar muscles can confuse the brain. Benefits of tongue twisters. They strengthen and stretch the muscles involved in speech. This muscle exercises leads to clear pronunciation, clearer speech patterns, and helps rectify some of the hardest sounds for you. They are also just fun, making learning pronunciation something that can be quite frustrating more enjoyable. They show you which sounds are difficult for you. Depending on your native language and your own strengths and weaknesses, some sounds will be harder for you than others. Tongue twisters can really highlight which sounds you are struggling with. You may get stuck on the same sound again and again. This is a sign to focus on that sound. Moreover, you may already be aware of sounds that are challenging for you. For example, speakers of Korean and Japanese tend to have difficulty with the L or R sounds. So you already know that you should work on these sounds. They are a great warm-up. Even if you are a native speaker or you're mastered English pronunciation, tongue twisters are a great warm-up exercise before you make a presentation, speak in public, teach a class, lead a meeting, act, and more. Imitate. Listening, when combined with reading, will fill your brain with phrases you recognize and will eventually be able to use. You may want to imitate out loud the odd word or phrase, even as you are listening. This is sometimes referred to as shadowing. But you need even more practice at getting the words out. Actually, listen a few minutes to content for which you have the transcript and where you like the voice and the way the person speaks. After listening, read the same text out loud trying to imitate the way the person speaks. Focus on the rhythm and intonation. Don't worry about words that you mispronounce. Get the rhythm and flow. Do this over and over. It's a beautiful day today. It's a beautiful day today. Imitation. Imitation is the key to learning languages. Did you know that if you mimic someone's accent, you'll be able to better understand what they say? As a playwright, George Bernard Shaw once said, imitation is not just the sincerest form of flattery, it's the sincerest form of learning. That's what psychologists at the UK's University of Manchester and Holland's University discovered in the study in 2010. The results showed that imitating the person you are talking to helps your speech comprehension. So, for language learners, this means it's best to practice your conversation skills with a native speaker. Imitation speeds up learning. In the 1970s, American psychologist Andrew N. Meltzoff identified so-called social learning, where people or animals observe and then copy their companions. Imitation accelerates learning and multiplies learning opportunities, he noted. It is faster than individual discovery and safer than learning by trial and error. The next one is record yourself. Use of words is more important than pronunciation. However, we all like to work on getting closer to the pronunciation of the native speaker, although we won't quite get there. In order to work on pronunciation, you can practice recording yourself every now and again. Perhaps once or twice a month, but not too often. Find content of interest. Listen to the radio, and then read the same content out loud and record yourself. Listen for the differences. This is your chance to work on specific sounds. It is important to notice the words that you mispronounce and then try to notice these sounds when listening to the language. If you can notice them, you will have a better chance of pronouncing them correctly. Five helpful ways to improve speaking. Number one is sing along to English songs. Singing along to your favorite English songs will help you become more fluent. Once you can sing along to Taylor Swift or other singers, you can test your skills with something a bit more difficult. Rap. Rap is a great way to practice English because often the words are spoken like regular sentences. However, the rapper uses a stronger rhythm and faster speed. Some of the words might not make sense, but if you can keep up with the rapper, then you are on your way to becoming fluent. Number two is learn word forms with new words. Some practice comes before you even open your mouth. Make speaking easier by learning the different forms of any words you can learn. You should do this when you are learning new vocabularies. For example, if you just learned the word right, you should also learn some other forms like wrote and written. Knowing the correct way to use a word in any kind of sentence is important. This knowledge will help you while speaking. You won't have to stop and think of different words. You will know exactly when you need to use that word while speaking. Number three is learn your most common sayings. Take some time to really notice how you speak in your native language. What words and phrases do you use the most often? Learn how to use and say your most commonly used phrases and words in English. Knowing them in English will help you speak as well in English as you do in your native language. Prepare for specific situations. Are you learning English for a specific reason? For example, are you learning English so you can get a job in an English-speaking company? In that case, practice English that will help you in an interview. As you're learning English so you can make friends in America, then you would need a different kind of English. Before you go to a place where you have to speak English, you can practice what you might have to say. If you are preparing to go to a restaurant, what might conversations in a restaurant sound like? Answer the questions a waiter might ask you. Try talking about food and menus. You will feel more confident if you are prepared. Number five is tell a story from your language in English. Here's a fun way to test how well your spoken English has developed. Choose a story that you know really well and tell it in English. Remember to think in English as you are telling your story. Focus on speaking fluently instead of correctly. Say every sentence out loud to yourself. Even if you have nobody to talk in English, you can still build confidence and master fluency on your own time. In some ways, practicing speaking is even easier by yourself. Think in English. Sometimes the difficult thing about talking in a new language isn't the language itself, but how you think about this. If you think in your native language and then try to speak English, you will always have to translate between languages. Translating isn't an easy thing to do. Even people fluent in two or more languages have trouble switching between languages. The solution is to think in English. You can do this anywhere, anytime. Try to use English when you are thinking about your day, or when you are trying to decide what food to order. Even try to use an English to English dictionary to look up the words. That way, you never have to use your native language and translate words. You will notice that when you think in English, it's easier for you to speak in English. Many English students say, "It's too difficult. I don't know enough English words. I need to think in my native language and translate." However, thinking in your native language and translating results in sentences that don't sound natural in English because the sentence structure is often different in English and your native language. In addition, it takes too much time to think and translate when you are in conversation, leading to pauses, hesitations, and the inability to speak fast and fluently. Let me teach you some ways to think in English. Don't use a bilingual dictionary. I remember spending hours looking up words and definitions in an English-only dictionary. I prefer to use paper dictionaries as it helps me memorize words better. When you search for a word, turning page after page, you naturally repeat it in your head. By the time you find the meaning, you remember the word. Learn vocabularies in phrases, not single words. Our brains are pattern matching machines that remember things put into context. If I can't come up with my any context examples, I check out Cambridge Advanced Dictionary or sometimes Google it. Start using the vocabulary as soon as possible. Never stop yourself from speaking until your language is perfect. You'll be waiting forever. I am always trying to take initiative even if I'm really scared because practice makes perfect. As soon as I had an opportunity, I volunteered for an English college newspaper writing articles and interviewing different people. It was really hard at the beginning and it took me a long time to write a draft. After 7 months of volunteering experience and publishing with the Canadian University Press, the newspaper decided to hire me as their staff reporter. Talk to yourself in English. When I was learning English, I still do this. I would describe to myself whatever happened during the day. This gives you extra practice before you start explaining things to other people. Get an English-speaking friend or partner. It is always easier to improve English with a companion, especially if he or she is a native speaker. I noticed a dramatic improvement when I moved in with my girlfriend. Regular chats in person, over the phone, text messages, and other common activities brought me to the next level and I stopped talking to myself. Travel. I used every opportunity to travel to English-speaking countries. I've met numerous people in my travels and I try to keep in touch with them even after my trips. Facebook, WhatsApp, Viber, and emails definitely help. Five great steps to think in English. You have an important decision to make? Don't think about it in your native language. Think about it in English. Studies have shown that thinking about things in foreign language makes your decisions better and more rational. Better decision making is not the only benefit of thinking in English, though. When you think in English, you learn the language faster and you have an easier time speaking out loud. If you're speaking English in your mind, it's easier to speak it with your mouth. So, how can you start thinking in English? Well, it won't help to put a book on your head. Instead, we are going to share 5 easy steps that will actually help your mind switch to thinking in English today. Keep in mind that all of these steps have been scientifically proven. The importance of thinking in English. Depending on your level, right now you might first think of what you want to say in your native language and then translate it into English. By thinking in English first, you won't have to translate, which will help you become more fluent in English. When you think in English without translating, this also helps you internalize the language. When you internalize information, it means you learn it so well that you no longer need to think about it. Internalizing English means you don't need to remember the rules and pronunciations every time you speak. You just speak. Native English speakers don't always know why what they say is correct because they've internalized the language. Speaking English in your head is also a great low pressure way to practice English. You don't have to worry about saying things right or being understood by others. You can make mistakes and still understand. Yes. Additionally, thinking in English is an excellent way to build your vocabulary with words you actually use. It's important to know many words, but it's even more important to know words that you will use in everyday conversation. How to think in English in 5 simple steps. Let's start, guys. The first step is think in single words. How? If you're just starting to learn English, don't worry. It's never too late to start thinking in English. You can begin as soon as you know even a small number of vocabulary words. Start by thinking in single words. You might not be able to make important decisions in English yet, but you can notice your surroundings in English by thinking the names of objects that you see or actions that you do. When you wake up in the morning, you can think, good morning. And when you are going to sleep at night, you can say, long day, tired, happy, good night. When you're just starting, you might find it hard to remember to think in English. But don't worry, you will get used to it. Here are some tricks you can use to remind yourself to think in English once or twice a day. Use your phone. Change your phone's lock screen to say think in English. This way, every time you look at your phone, you get a reminder. Next one is to turn it into a game. Give yourself points every time you remember to think in English for 5 minutes. Once you reach a certain number of points, you can give yourself a reward. Next one is leave notes around the house. For example, leave a note on your bathroom mirror with words that you would use in a bathroom. This reminds you to do your daily English thinking and gives you a group of vocabulary words you can use. With just these small steps, you will make it easier for you to think in English as you learn more words. Remember, the more you grow your skills, the more you can add to your thoughts, and soon you will be thinking in full sentences. Step number 2 is narrate your day. A narrator is someone who tells or reads the story. In books, the narrator is the part without dialogue, which describes what's happening. Many movies, especially documentaries, use narrators to explain certain parts. Now you get to pretend to be the narrator in your life, as if your life were a movie. Narrate your own day-to-day life as you go through it. You can do this in your own voice or pretend someone else is narrating your life. This is a great method and technique. Your daily life narration might sound something like this. It's morning. She wakes up and rubs her eyes. Preparing to face the day, she yawns as she makes herself a cup of coffee and wonders what she should wear today. You can speak about yourself in third person, he or she, or use the first person, I. You can describe everything from what you are doing to how you look or what you think. This will get you lots of practice with using commonly used words, as well as speaking in full, correct sentences. Step number 3 is make up conversations. Of course, when you speak to other people, you don't just tell them about your day. Conversations come in many different topics, so You will want to practice conversations as well. And to practice, you have to do is make some up. Choose a topic and pretend you are speaking to someone about it. If you are getting ready for an interview, you can pretend to be at the interview. If you're just trying to learn a new list of vocabulary words, you can ask yourself questions about the words. Any topic is fine. For example, if you are planning to go to the restaurant soon, you can practice a conversation with the waiter. Think of both the waiter's parts and yours. Your conversation might look something like this. Hello and welcome to our restaurant. Do you know what you will be ordering? I'm not sure yet. What do you recommend? If you like seafood, our fish of the day is fantastic. Great, I'll have that then. You can try the conversation in different ways and seeing how differently it turns out each time. Since you are practicing in your head, you can focus better on the topic instead of being distracted by pronunciation or fear of speaking to an actual person. Actually, you can also practice anywhere. We recommend practicing out loud and with a partner after you have done some pretended conversations in your head. Once you're more comfortable with the topics and the details, I think this way you can be confident in what you are going to say and how you are going to say it. Try it. Step number 4 is get creative. So you're sitting in your car and practicing your English. That's great, but what do you do when you can't think of how to say a word? Instead of interrupting a conversation to pull out a dictionary app, it's time to get creative. I mean, there is always more than one way to express something. Even if you don't know a word, you can get your idea across by thinking creatively and using other words. For example, if you're trying to explain to someone that you lost your key but can't remember the word key, you can tell them instead that I can't open my door because it's locked. Or you can say, I can't get into my house. I lost the thing you used to unlock the door. Both sentences don't use the word key, but they are both clear enough to be understood. So, if you get stuck while thinking in English, don't cheat and use your native language. Instead, think of a way around the word. This will be a huge help to help you when you are having an actual conversation and can't remember a word. As I said before, use an English to English dictionary. Step number 5. When you feel more comfortable thinking in English, make sure to do this in your daily life whenever possible. This includes looking up words in an English to English dictionary with definitions in English. The less you translate, the easier it will become to just think and speak in English. Once you make the change, you might be tempted to go back to your English to native language dictionary. Don't do it. In fact, delete all your current dictionary apps and leave only a good English to English dictionary app or two. At first, you might find that English dictionaries use words you don't know to define other words you don't know. Don't let this frustrate you. Instead, choose a good dictionary app or website that's meant for English learners or children. These use simpler language to explain words. Two excellent learner dictionaries are Vocabulary and the Merriam-Webster Learner's Dictionary. There are many other ways you can help your brain switch to thinking in English. For example, you can change the language on your apps, phone, and social media to English, but start with these 5 steps, and it will only get easier to think in English. And don't forget to start making decisions in English. Remember, you will be making better decisions this way. It's scientifically proved. Good luck. Learn sentences, not only words. In a way, this will take the pressure off too. When you learn a new word, try to memorize a couple of sentences that contain it. There might come a time when you can use one particular sentence with little or no alteration at all. Unfortunately, many people learn words by heart, but have no idea how to use them in a sentence. It will be such a relief not having to worry about whether the sentence is correct grammatically or not. Let's look at an example. To appreciate, which means to recognize the value of something or somebody. I think it's necessary to feel appreciated in a relationship or at work. I appreciate all your hard work. Isn't it much more useful to memorize appreciate this way? If you study individual English words in isolation, this is what happens. When you need to speak, you have to think a lot in order to combine the individual words in the right order, using the right grammar, and in a way that makes sense. If you focus on learning phrases instead, then you will have ready answers and responses for any situation. No need to overthink. Focusing on phrases will help you speak English in complete sentences more naturally. Why is focusing on sentences important? Sentences are more than just strings of words. They are thoughts, ideas, and stories. Just like letters build words, words build sentences, sentences build language, and give it personality. Again, without sentences, there is no real communication. If you were only reading words right now, you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm saying to you at all. Simple words are just not enough. Early human made stories out of simple drawings, but these drawings could only tell so much. Think of it this way. How much can you get just from reading man and horse? Sentences combine words to give them direction. They can add a certain feeling to groups of words. They are also necessary to express ideas. Talk to yourself. Whenever you're at home or alone somewhere else, you can practice your English with your favorite person. If you are already thinking in English, try speaking your thoughts out loud. Read out loud too. Practice is practice. And even if you don't have anyone to correct your mistakes, just the act of speaking out loud will help you become more comfortable speaking English. Practice speaking by yourself, both reading aloud and speaking spontaneously. When you speak English, there are two main difficulties. The mental difficulty of thinking of the English words to say, the physical difficulty of pronouncing the English words correctly. Speaking English by yourself helps train your ability to put your ideas into words. Reading English text out loud will help you with the second part without having to worry about the first part. It will train your mouth and lips to pronounce English words more correctly. Speaking English spontaneously by yourself is also extremely helpful in developing your ability to put your ideas into words without the pressure of a real conversation. You can look at a list of discussion questions and respond out loud in English, speaking alone. It might feel a little silly, but remember, this is a great training for your speaking English, and there is nobody to hear your mistakes. Use a mirror. Whenever you can, take a few minutes out of your day to stand in front of the mirror and speak. Choose a topic, set a time for 2 or 3 minutes, and just talk. The point of this exercise is to watch your mouth, face, and body language as you speak. It also makes you feel like you are talking to someone, so you can pretend you are having a discussion with a study buddy. Talk for the full 2 or 3 minutes. Don't stop. If you get stuck on a word you don't know, try expressing your idea in a different way. You can always look up how to say that word after the 2 minutes end. This will definitely help you find out what kinds of words or sentences you have trouble with.